will immediately say to her, "What's wrong?" Williams, another 4.
It's funny how people on the outside talk about our season like it was a movie. I've heard that a lot. People calling it the best movie they've ever watched, like we were characters written into some impossible, chaotic script. But the thing is, I wasn't acting. None of us were. This wasn't a movie. It was our real lives, our real bodies breaking down, our real tears, our real fight, our real exhaustion. And yeah, I get why people said that. Because if you took all the twists and turns, all the heartbreak and miracles and insane resilience, and put it on a screen, no one would believe it was real. But for us, it was. We lived that pain, that joy, that fear, that hope. When Amber told me that she'd been hearing from people who called this Fever season the best movie they've ever watched, I laughed at first. I think my body laughed before my heart could even process it. Because, honestly, it felt like the kind of thing you say when you're on the outside, not in the middle of the fire. When you're in it, when you're the one watching teammates go down, when you're the one fighting through rehab, when you're the one standing courtside cheering while your heart is screaming to play. It doesn't feel like a movie. It feels like survival. I mean, let's be real. What happened to us this season is something you don't see across an entire career, let alone in one single year. It was beautiful, heartbreaking, inspiring, draining, and relentless. I don't think words can do justice to what we went through as a group, but I'll try, because I owe it to the people who stood with us, the fans, the staff, my teammates, to tell it right. When the season finally ended, I think we all exhaled in a way we hadn't in months. We were proud, but also absolutely drained, and not the kind of tired that sleep fixes. This was bone-deep exhaustion, the kind that comes from being tested every single day, and somehow still showing up. There's a difference between being tired and being emptied out, and a lot of us were emptied by the end. But here's the thing, despite everything that happened, this season was amazing. Truly. Because love carried us through it. The love in that locker room? It was something I've never experienced before. 7 years in this league, and I've never been part of a group that felt so connected, so genuine, so willing to fight for each other. The fans embraced us in ways that still choke me up when I think about it. Not just here in Indiana, but from all over the world. I'd get messages from people in countries I've never even visited, telling me how proud they were of our fight. It was surreal, but at the same time, I won't sugarcoat it. This was also a season from hell. There's no other way to say it. Blow after blow. Injuries, setbacks, emotional roller coasters. You reach a point where you almost stop asking what's next, because you're scared the universe will actually answer. It's that constant tension of loving what you do so much that you'll endure anything for it, but also realizing how much it's taking from you. When I think back, I realize that one of the hardest parts wasn't just the physical pain or even the losses. It was watching people I love go through things they didn't deserve, seeing their faces after another injury, another piece of bad news, another out for the season. It messes with your head. You want to be strong for them, but inside you're breaking too. Every time someone went down, it felt like we all did. So yeah, when Amber said people are calling it a movie, I get it now. It was cinematic. Not because of the highlights or the wins, but because of the emotion, the heartbreak, the humanity. It had everything: triumph, tragedy, resilience, redemption. But for us, it wasn't entertainment. It was survival, and survival is messy. And now, as I sit here after it's all over, I finally feel like I can breathe again, knowing that no one else is going to get hurt, that we can finally rest, that we can just exist without holding our breath. It's a relief I can't describe. It's like walking out of a storm and realizing your hands are still shaking even though the sky is clear. But even through the chaos, I have to say, this team, we never gave up. Not once. We found joy in the ugliest moments. We laughed when we probably should have cried. We found light in each other when everything else felt dark. And that's why, no matter how exhausting it was, it's still one of the most beautiful experiences of my career. People ask me all the time how I'm feeling now, health-wise. The truth? I feel good, better than I've felt in months. I've turned a corner in my rehab, and that's a blessing I don't take for granted. When you're sidelined, the days are long, and the silence in your head can get loud. You watch games from the bench, and every cell in your body is screaming to get out there. But you can't. You're helpless, except for the encouragement you give and the energy you bring. You learn to pour into others, because that's all you can do. And weirdly enough, that taught me a lot about leadership and about myself. My rehab room became my little world this season. And honestly, it was packed in there. That's not a good thing, but it's also what made it bearable. Misery loves company, right? We joke about how the injured crew should get its own reality show because of how wild those days got. But really, we lifted each other up. We bonded in that space. You can't fake that kind of connection. We were all fighting the same battle. Different injuries, same goal. Get back, stronger than before. Now, I've got my sights set on January. That's when I can really ramp things up again. Really get going. And I'm thankful. Thankful that it was just my MCL. Thankful that my body's responding well. Thankful that I can see light ahead. Because, believe me, it could have been worse. When you get hurt, there's always that split-second fear. What if this is it? And the relief that it's not will make you cry out of nowhere. I just had my latest doctor's appointment, and they said I'm progressing faster than expected. That's music to my ears. I'm proud of myself, too, because rehab takes a different kind of strength. You don't get the adrenaline of game night. You don't get the cheers or the stats or the highlight reels. You just get hours and hours of slow, painful, lonely work. And you have to find joy in that grind. But I'm not going to lie. I'm terrible at being patient. I want to be back now. That's just who I am. I'm competitive even in recovery. So yeah, I'm feeling good. My body's healing. My mind's clearer. My heart's full. And yet, there's still this ache inside, this hunger. Because I know what we could have done. I know how close we were. And that's what fuels me. When I posted, "We're coming for everyone next season," I meant that with every fiber of my being. It wasn't just a tweet. It was a promise. A warning. Because if people think this team has already peaked, they have no idea what's coming next. As for my future, I've been asked a lot if I want to stay in Indiana. The answer's simple. I love it here. I've said it before, and I'll keep saying it. There's something special about being back in the Midwest, something grounding. These girls, they're not just teammates. They're family. I've been in the league for 7 years, and I've never been on a team like this. Ever. The chemistry, the energy, the genuine care. You don't find that everywhere. So, of course I want to come back. Who wouldn't? That said, I'm also not naive. I've been around long enough to know that basketball is a business, and with the new CBA on the horizon, things are shifting fast. There's a lot on the line. Contracts, opportunities, futures. So yeah, I'll entertain other offers. I'd be dumb not to. I might be blonde, but I'm not blind. Still, my heart is here. I hope it works out that way. Because what we've built in Indiana, the culture, the love, the grit, that's rare. I think what makes this team different is that it's not just about basketball. We're invested in each other's lives. We know each other's families. We've been there through breakups, birthdays, injuries, heartbreaks. We've cried together, prayed together, celebrated together. That's what makes this group so special. Even when I was sidelined, being on that bench was one of the most unexpectedly joyful parts of my year. We called ourselves the bench mob. And let me tell you, we lived up to the name. We brought chaos, laughter, and energy. Probably a little too much sometimes. But it mattered. Energy matters. When you can't contribute on the court, you find a way to lift the team in other ways. And honestly, that bench became my sanctuary. Every game, I'd stand up, yell, jump, clap, and give the trainers a heart attack every time. But I couldn't help it. I love this game too much to sit still. Watching our younger players step up, watching overseas girls who barely anyone knew come in and fight like hell, watching this team take 5 Olympians to overtime. That was magic. I mean it. If a few calls went the other way, who knows? Maybe we're still playing right now. Maybe we're in the finals. But even without that, I couldn't be prouder. We gave everything. And that's all you can ask for. And that's the thing. People see the stats, the highlights, the injuries. But they don't always see the soul of it. They don't see the resilience it takes to keep showing up when your body's screaming. They don't see the love that holds a locker room together when the world is falling apart. They don't see the quiet moments, the late-night texts, the inside jokes, the tears in the training room. That's the real story. That's what makes this team special. You know, when I think about what I missed the most while I was sidelined, it wasn't just the feeling of being on the floor. It was the rhythm of the game, the heartbeat of it, the adrenaline, the chaos, the sound of the crowd when you hit a three, or when you dive for a loose ball. There's a pulse to it, a vibration that lives in your chest, and when you're out, it's like that heartbeat goes quiet. You try to replace it, with rehab, with cheering, with film, with anything that keeps you connected. But nothing really fills that space. It's like your body remembers what it's supposed to feel, but you can't give it what it wants. So, being on the sideline with Chloe, Caitlin, the coaches, man, that became my new version of the game. And it was wild. We laughed too loud. We celebrated too hard. We probably annoyed a few refs and trainers, but that's what made it real. That's what made it us. There's something powerful about being able to create joy even in the middle of disappointment. We found ways to turn the bench into an extension of the court. A place where energy lived, where passion never died. We caused ruckus, no doubt about it. Some nights, I think the coaches gave us side-eye because we were louder than the players on the floor. But you know what? Sometimes that's exactly what a team needs. Because the game isn't just about who's out there with the ball. It's about who's behind them, who's pouring into them, who's keeping the spirit alive when the scoreboard looks ugly or when everyone's tired. I've said it before. Our motto this season was standard over feeling. We over me. And that wasn't just a quote on a whiteboard or a team slogan. It became our oxygen. We lived it, breathed it, bled for it. When you've got that kind of unity, when you know every woman next to you is fighting for the same purpose, you don't let up. Not even when your body gives out. Not even when the world says it's over. The bench became a sacred space. I know that sounds dramatic, but it's true. It was where we reminded each other who we were. Not victims of circumstance, not a team decimated by injuries, but women who refused to fold. We were still part of something bigger than ourselves. And honestly, that helped me heal more than anything. When you're rehabbing, your mind can spiral. Doubt creeps in, frustration builds, loneliness kicks in. But when you've got a team like this, you never really feel alone. There were days I'd walk into the facility, knee sore, mood low, questioning everything, and one of the girls would just crack a joke or start dancing to some random song blasting from a speaker, and suddenly the weight lifted. We carried each other through this season, every single one of us. And as crazy as it sounds, being forced to sit down made me see the game differently. I saw the small things, the communication between guards on a switch, the timing of a screen, the body language after a missed shot. You learn to read energy in a whole new way. You realize how much leadership doesn't just happen on the court. It happens in the quiet moments between possessions, in the conversations no one sees. I was also just proud, unbelievably proud, of the women who stepped up. Players people hadn't heard of, players coming from overseas, players who were told they weren't good enough. They came in and balled out. They took on 5 Olympians in a playoff game and took them to overtime. Like, are you kidding me? That's heart. That's guts. That's what makes me so emotional when I talk about this group. We didn't have the perfect season, but we had an unforgettable one. Every time I jumped up and down on that sideline, I think the doctors collectively aged a year. I could feel their eyes on me like, please, Sophie, don't tear something else. But how do you tell a competitor not to feel? I couldn't help it. I was proud, invested, alive. When you've given your entire self to this game, sitting still is impossible. And yet, beneath all the laughter, there was a deeper ache. That ache of wanting to do more, of knowing your body can't keep up with your heart. That's a hard thing to face. Because basketball, it's not just what I do, it's who I am. So when that's taken away, even temporarily, you're forced to figure out who you are without it. And that's terrifying. But that fear, it taught me resilience. It taught me patience. It taught me to find meaning in stillness. I learned that leadership isn't just about points or stats. It's about presence. It's about showing up, even when you can't play. It's about reminding your team that they're not alone, that you still believe, even when you can't physically contribute. By the end of the season, I had a front row seat to something rare.